Hi everyone, YB here. This video has been made to introduce the Team Wild Strike game concept demo and explain what it is all about. Okay, so just imagine if you could, on your own or with a small group of friends, jump into an intuitive, accessible co-op mission inspired by tactical shooter games like Recon Wildlands, but you had to constantly evolve the strategy and tactics you used to complete that mission, and this is because each time you played the mission there was a small number of opposing human players mixed into the enemy AI side. Imagine how this human intelligence on the enemy AI side would really mix things up and generate an almost endless effort by all players to evolve their approach to the mission, their strategy and their tactics. In turn, as a result of this kind of strategy arms race, so to speak, massive amounts of mission replayability would be created. Now I know, this could be a really bad idea. I mean, really bad. Instead of being a fun tactical co-op game, things could very easily descend into a kind of player versus player chaotic and unsatisfying mush. Or things could get really annoying, where humans on the AI side pick you off, perhaps with a sniper rifle, just as you're about to achieve mission objectives with your friends. To ensure the experience is actually super fun, the mission design would have to be amazing, and the gameplay mechanics and team balancing elements would have to be incredible and fully flexible, with the option for all these things to be easily adjustable by players themselves. But what if those things could be achieved? Team Wild Strike represents my attempt to demonstrate such a game. I'm not saying that I've fully reached that goal, it's only a valiant first attempt. Using an analogy from TV, the Team Wild Strike game concept demo I'm presenting here is like a pilot episode, made with a fraction of the ideal budget. But Team Wild Strike is at a point where it starts to demonstrate the concept and give players a real taste of the fun that is possible. And just a quick side note here, just how forgiving, arcadey or casual, or even how competitive the gameplay is largely adjustable by you, the players. So lovers of the Milsim genre, please note, whilst the game is probably not for you, unless that is you're wanting a change of pace or taking a break from hardcore Milsim, etc. But please know that how the game demo and the missions play out is highly customizable, with many of the more arcadey elements being able to be turned off. So please consider this before deciding if Team Wild Strike is for you. Just to take 3 examples here, by default in Team Wild Strike you get a grenade path arc, so you can throw your grenades very accurately. You can also base jump off things like military towers. Also, helicopters have a highly simplified flight model, allowing them to be piloted and controlled with much greater ease. But all such game mechanics can be easily turned off. Okay, let's get back to how Team Wild Strike works. In Team Wild Strike there are 2 teams. The strike team, which must complete all mission objectives, and the other team is the defense team, which must try to prevent the mission objectives being completed. Think of the strike team as a small Ghost Recon type co-op squad, and the defense team is the AI bad guy side, which may also have a small number of humans on it. Now what if the human players on the enemy AI defense team had to be extremely careful, as they have much weaker vehicles and a significant and increasing respawn time? And what if players on the strike team co-op side were quite tough with a high time to kill, and they could revive each other at a distance using a medical personal drone? And what if the strike team's ability to find and track defense team enemies and players was much higher than what the defense team can do, refinding and marking strike team players? Such asymmetrical gameplay elements would ensure a game that, even though it is asymmetrical, is fun, exciting and suspenseful for both sides. And this would be regardless of each team's size, experience and skill levels, as settings can be changed for each team to even up the odds. These elements would also ensure strategies and tactics are much more important than which player has the twitchiest aim or is carrying the highest caliber weapon. So if I had to describe the Team Wild Strike concept in one sentence, it would be a tactical, mission-focused, player versus environment plus player shooter action game that combines fully customizable, asymmetrical gameplay and rock-paper-scissors like strategy evolution, with guns, vehicles and special equipment all included in the mix. Okay, that's quite a mouthful, so let me explain things just a little bit further. Team Wild Strike is essentially a team-based, mission-focused shooter blending arcade and tactical elements. It is designed, by default, to be forgiving and also intuitive and accessible to new and more casual players, whilst also providing depth and still requiring plenty of teamwork and the use and evolution of strategic and tactical thinking. The Team Wild Strike game concept incorporates fairly compact, moderately complex, moderately paced missions inspired by Ghost Recon type games, and players have equipment such as explosive or medical drones, proximity mines, assault sentries, and so on. Combat takes place on foot, but also in land and air vehicles. Players can approach the mission objectives in any way and from any direction they like. The missions can be undertaken by a single player, but I think are best enjoyed in a small squad of 2 to 4 players. And combined with this, as mentioned, the option also exists for a small number of human players to join the enemy AI side. So together the sweet spot for this game is around 5 to 7 players, but it is designed so that even 1 to 3 players can have a great time, including playing solo or in co-op or against each other. As mentioned, there are 2 teams. The strike team, which must try to complete all mission objectives. The other team is the defense team, which must try to prevent the mission objectives from being completed. Very importantly, the 2 teams are, by default, asymmetrical. For example, in most cases, only the defense team has AI units on it, and at times receives AI reinforcements. By default, strike team members become incapacitated and must be revived by a teammate, whereas defense team players go through a respawn process after a delay, which by default increases each time. Strike team vehicles are much tougher and can sustain more damage by default. Also by default, personal drones have better enemy tracking abilities for the strike team players, and so on. Also, very importantly, the game has a kind of sandbox feel, as many of the gameplay dynamics and difficulty settings are also easily adjustable for each individual team with just a few mouse clicks. This allows for players to decide how arcadey or unforgiving and suspenseful, or even how competitive they want the gameplay to be. The extensive settings also, critically, allows for teams to balance their abilities as desired. Examples here include which vehicles and how much equipment each team has access to, and even which team can teleport and how many times they can do this. Regarding how unforgiving or arcadey the game can be, objective and enemy on-screen markers can be turned off. Auto healing can be turned off. In fact, there is a 1 life mode where once a player is downed, they can only observe for the rest of that mission. All these things can be easily adjusted with just a few mouse clicks. So, essentially, Team Wild Strike is a modern, tactical, team-based, and mission-focused shooter aiming to provide a highly dynamic and interesting player versus environment plus player experience, all fully customizable by the players themselves if so desired. Now, I have a small request. If you know a game that combines all of the elements I have just mentioned, please let me know in the comments below, because my friends and I would love to play that game. And if you're yelling at your screen right now, calling out things like Sniper Elite 5 Invasion Mode, or just about every mission in the Arma 3 Steam Workshop, I hear you. I really do. It's just that I have not found anything that includes all of the following. A game or mission built from the ground up to provide not a player versus player, and not just a co-op experience, but a carefully balanced player versus environment plus player experience. A game with a default focus on asymmetrical team abilities. Gameplay that is by default arcadey, forgiving, highly intuitive and accessible even to new or casual players, but which can also easily be made by players to be as unforgiving and competitive as desired. A game that has a sandbox feel, as it is largely and easily customizable by the players themselves, with just a few mouse clicks. That is to say, players are able to fine-tune not just difficulty levels, but important gameplay mechanics and how similar or different each team is. A game that is focused on multiple, interrelated, complex mission objectives that go far beyond simple capture and control points, for example. A game that combines on-foot as well as vehicle combat. A game that offers total freedom in how players try to complete mission objectives. The game includes fun, arcadey, easy to use, and one-button press special equipment such as explosive or medical personal drones, proximity mines, assault sentries, and so on. Helicopters, at least by default, are intuitive and easy to fly. The game contains a simple revive mechanic, but where the time to revive is adjustable by players. So in bringing this video to a close, I would like to emphasize that Team Wildstrike is not just a game concept demo, but it's also my attempt to join the gaming conversation with players and other developers. We are all watching as gaming evolves. And as this happens, I've found myself wondering, if made carefully, just how much fun could the ultimate player versus environment plus player shooter game be? Please let me know if you would like to contribute to this conversation in some way. I welcome all constructive comments and also would be delighted to make contact with anyone wanting to contribute gameplay mechanics or mission ideas to Team Wildstrike. Also, even if you are already working on a similar concept, maybe there is some way for us to support each other on the creative journey. I certainly plan to make more missions based on the Team Wildstrike concept, but realise this is a huge task just for one self-taught amateur on his own. Okay, I hope this video has given you a sense of what the Team Wildstrike game concept is all about, and that you are intrigued to try it out for yourself. To access the demo, please see the link in the video description below. Okay, stay safe everyone, and remember, even though life is not a game, let's play it anyway.